Hi there, Aries. This is your end of December reading. We have so many energies taking place between now, when I'm recording this video, and the end of the year. Starting with Venus is moving into Aquarius in about a day or so on the 20th, and then the winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere on the 21st. Um, what's after that? Yeah, of course, we have Christmas, which is a really big energetic, signature. Christmas itself holds a signature of like miracles and goodwill and humanity, kindness to humanity, and things like that. Surprise gifts, of course, gift giving. Then that night is the Capricorn new moon. Moving into the next day, the 26th, we have the solar eclipse in Capricorn. And that's just the 26th. Between that and New Year, there's a whole week full of things happening in the cosmos that I haven't even like completely looked into. I know that the Sun and Jupiter are going to be mixing or commingling up there on one of those days, and the Sun and Jupiter, that's another big energy of good things happening. So let's see what's going on for Aries at the end of December. How are we ending 2019? December 2019, the end of December 2019 for Aries. Oh, to my nail. Oh, that really, really hurt. Oh, no, no, no. Spirit was telling me, you put that card back. Oh, good Lord, that was a sign if I've ever received one. I was getting ready to pick that card, and I was like, It wanted to say it itself. Ooh, Queen of Swords, my goodness. I hear good night, good night, good night, good night. I hear the Queen of Swords. Well, we pulled the Queen of Swords, but I heard painful communication. Oh, and then we have the King of Staffs, a very dominating energy, a very dominant energy. Oh, then the Emperor. Yes, very dominant energy here with the Emperor right beside the King of Staffs. Painful communication I'm hearing because the Queen of Swords is she's very cut and dry with her communication. It's not really too much about your feelings. It's more so about accomplishing her motive or getting, to the end result with her. And that energy here is, kind of mixing with the energy of like being a dominant party in a situation. So that gives me the energy of like communication that may be painful. It's like, listen, this is how things are going to move along, and this is what's going to happen. Don't really care if it's what you're liking, don't really care if it's not what you want. This is what we have to do. Boom, boom, boom. You feel me? And they may not say it this way, or you may not say it this way, but that's the energy that I'm getting here, like a painful communication. It's only painful because feelings, yes, deep feelings are involved. Like you want a couple of forevers with somebody. This Ace of Cup, abundant, overflowing emotion, and a celebration with the Four of Staffs. So I feel like you have these goals, or you have these things that you want to, these ideals. Yes, you have ideals, things that you want to happen, and it may not come exactly when you want it, and that may be like the, kind of piercing in the heart. But I don't feel like it's painful in terms of someone intentionally trying to hurt your feelings. I feel like it may be just a little painful because you may have to kind of step outside of your fantasy about it, or the Aries, how when you want something, you really want something, and when you don't get it, Aries doesn't like when they don't get what they want. So that may be that painful that I'm hearing. It's not really painful. It's a little bit of kind of exaggeration through in there. I don't feel like it's really painful. Like I don't feel emotional or anything, but it's emotional for you. So I understand who's to tell you. Because with the temperance card, I feel like you think that you have waited long enough for, this ideal, for your Ace of Cups and your Four of Staffs, that feeling of just being like, finally we got to this point, finally we made it. I feel like you think you've been waiting long enough, but I kind of, it's, I'm getting the hint that there's still more to do. There's still lessons to learn. There's still more that you need to learn from this journey, from this process before you have that, complete ideal, or before you get exactly what it is that you want. Yeah, there's still more to learn. That Four of Wands here is the same as that Four of Staffs that I pulled along with the Ace of Cups. And the Temperance is saying that there's still some type of spiritual journey left for you, some things that you need to get right within your mind before you can completely have that, the epitome of everything that your heart desires, Aries. And that may be the kind of, the little pain in your stomach and that little upset that you have. I think you're going to have a problem with it when it becomes clear to you that things aren't going to be exactly as you would like them to be. But I don't feel like things are going to be bad for you either. I just think that you have a very specific way that you want things to go, a very kind of dominating way that you want things to be. And, it may not, go the way that you plan it to go. It may not, kind of proceed in the way that you would like it to proceed. But if I haven't mentioned it already, there's definitely a loving cup here. There's definitely a deep well of emotions on both behalves. But there's a party here who has more to learn. And Aries, what I don't want you to do is be the person who holds up your own progress. I don't want you to get upset because your person may still have some of their own issues that you may not even know about with the Two of Swords here going on. They may be battling their own little demons and stuff. And if they're not telling you, but you're not quite understanding why it is that they may pull back, or they don't completely go along with your ideal, then I don't want you to kind of block your own blessings by, snapping on them, or becoming snappy, or getting mean or insulting with your words, because there is love here. But you have to understand that things may not come to fruition exactly when you want them to come, and you have to possibly learn patience. Like, that could be your lesson here. Because there's definitely the energy of, like, spirit saying that it's not quite time. You have not come into the fullness of who you are in order to experience the fullness of what your heart desires. So there's still some spiritual lessons and maybe some virtues that you need to work on within yourself before everything comes in for you the way that you want it to. So you have this card here, the arts, which suggests to you to express yourself through creative activities. So when I get this card, I feel the energy of someone needing to kind of take more time for themselves and worry more about yourself than the other person. There is absolutely Now, Aries, if this is you, and if you good, and if you doing your own thing, then it's the other person, vice versa. But I'm feeling like you need to take care of yourself. You need to, develop your own hobbies, find out what it is that you like, focus more of your energy on yourself. You can't make someone else do what you want them to do, but you have complete free will and sovereignty to do whatever you want to on your own. So figure out things that you do the way you want to do them, and you'd be surprised how much time passes when you're just really into yourself. And before you know it, things do start to click the way you want it to go. And also, when you become that person who just goes after what they want, and you still keep the love for the person, like, basically, if you're not pressed for a person, if they don't feel like the way that you love them is dependent on them doing exactly what you want, then the love can flow, the emotions can flow, that Four of Staffs energy can come there, because both parties feel appreciated, they feel respected, they feel that their boundaries are honored, things like that. Like you have to allow the emotions to flow freely on both sides. It can't be one person getting more of their needs met on one side and the other person not getting really anything at all, just because it makes the other person happy. So, whatever communication or whatever holdups that you get, if you have to tell another person, you look, I'm not quite ready to go that far yet, or if someone else tells you, I'm not quite ready to go that far yet, or if the communication kind of changes a little bit, and the way that a person expresses themselves to you changes because their own personal, you know, inner emotional needs have changed, or their own personal inner emotional needs take the front seat because they put themselves as a priority. You can't really have a tantrum about that. You can't really get mad at that. And with the emperor beside the king of staffs and the queen of swords, like when I see a queen energy beside the emperor, to me it feels like a little bit of a femininity aspect of power. So, like when you give a man power, but he's kind of feminine about how he deals with it, meaning that when women don't really get what we want, we get in our feelings. But when a man gets in his feelings, it's not as harmless as when a woman gets in their feelings. When a man gets in his feelings, it can become an issue because they can become combative. They can say mean things. But I'm not saying that this is what is going on here. I'm not saying your man is doing that to you. I'm saying that's the energy Aries. Like you could get in your feeling and you could be like, well, I run this or I run my life, and if they're not doing what I want them to do, then I'm gonna say some mean things, or I'm gonna say, well, you need to man up, or you need to do better, trying to guide this person from a position of power. But you have to have that power over your own self to know that, okay, maybe this person is, they just need time for whatever reason. And if I love this person, then I need to give them that time. And while you're waiting on this person to do whatever that they need to do for themselves, you need to, find what makes you happy. Get you some little hobbies. Hang out with your friends, express yourself, paint, draw, write poetry, dance, do yoga. There's so many different things. Sew clothes. Get on YouTube and figure out something that makes you, something that piques your interest, something that makes you want to do it yourself. Hell, do it yourself channels. You may be getting into do it yourself type things. Sacred space. Create an altar or visit of power place to connect with the divine. Sacred space. And what I talked about earlier about honoring someone else's boundaries, you definitely have to do that. Because with the color of this card is telling me that somebody in the relationship, when they pull back and you don't hear from them, they're in their sacred space. It's not that someone is always out trying to do you dirty, something like that. Like people really be out here trying to be better for themselves. Like everybody ain't trying to do you wrong. Everybody not playing games with you. Like some people are really out here trying to ascend, trying to break generational curses and trying to reverse unhealthy behavior that has been taught to them since childhood. But I'm really feeling the energy of Aries being the one that kind of have that temper tantrum type of energy here, unfortunately. Especially with the Emperor card here, that's you, Aries, showing up in your own reading. There's a stream of love supporting my dreams. Don't give up on the ideal that you have just because it doesn't come to fruition exactly when you would like it to. In any moment, I can surrender to the powerful presence of love through prayer, contemplation, and stillness. And I feel like stillness is one of the strongest indicators of someone who has control of themselves and who truly is in power. So when you don't get what you want, that's the test of who you really are. If you're fit to lead when things don't go your way, you'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? We are experiencing power struggles big time on a massive scale. You see what's happening with the United States of America's president. Like we have a whole impeachment process, going on. Um, Power struggles are a big thing right now in the cosmos and with all of us. And Aries, it looks like you are experiencing this like super heavily. I don't know, it's because if you're like, a cardinal sign, or if it's because you are like quick fire, you're quick to go after things. But you being quick fire and going after things, that isn't always everyone else's pace, especially when there are deep emotions involved. Everyone may not be as intense as you are. So while you can, I will say this, while you can communicate what it is that you feel, go ahead and do that. Honor your feelings enough to go ahead and communicate what it is that you're feeling. So if you are deeply, intensely in love with this person, you can tell them that. But what you can't do is dictate when they receive your love or if they reciprocate your love right away. You are completely at liberty to walk away from a relationship where you don't feel like you have reciprocity. But what I'm saying is, if you just tell somebody, I love you, you can't force them to be like, oh my God, I love you too. And that may be the ideal that you have in your mind with the Ace of Cups, that overflowing abundant love, and that Four of Staffs being like this really vibrant, high vibrational loving energy. It may not happen like that, but I'm telling you to still honor your own feelings. So if you do want to say it, go ahead and say it, but understand also people's boundaries in their sacred spaces. And don't feel like if somebody is still within their sacred space and they don't want to step outside of that yet, don't feel like it's rejection. That's the painful communication. That's what I'm hearing. Rejection. I kept saying painful communication, but to make it clear and really for you to understand exactly what I'm talking about, rejection. Don't worry about rejection. Don't feel that you are being rejected. Just know that there's still a process that somebody still has to go through, whether it's you. Well, it's you, because if your partner has to go through it, then that's an experience of having to wait and hold up that the divine has for you to experience. The divine wants you to experience being put on hold, not necessarily quickly getting everything that you want right away. And it's going to be up to you to blindly still trust that the love is real and still hold that space for your person, that when they finally get out of whatever it is that they're dealing with on their own, that they'll come to you, and that when they come to you, they will finally be able to tell you exactly how they feel, which is the overflowing love here. Both the Four of Wands is equal, so the feeling is mutual. But some people can't just come out and be like, "Oh, I love you too," because they just don't feel like they have their life together. And once you finally go to saying, I love you too," that creates a whole different level of a relationship. And somebody doesn't feel like they're right there at that point of being ready for that type of relationship yet. Okay, Aries, so that has been your reading. Like the video if it resonates, and comment, tell me what's going on with you. You can vent to your girl. Don't go talking crazy down in the comments, but you can kind of tell me what your frustrations may be. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Thank you for watching, Aries. Bye.